Hey folks, this is Nod and we are mucking around in X-Plane. Alright, today I want to talk about thermals in X-Plane, specifically X-Plane 11.40. There's been some changes to the way these work, and for the most part it's very, very good. We have like exciting new thermal dynamics that act upon the airframe, and you actually get bumped around a bit when you hit the thermal now, and it's really good. However, something else was either introduced recently or just during this patch, or has always been there. I don't know, but I'm going to demonstrate this if I can. And what it is I'm going to call this, for lack of a better term, ambient sync. Ambient sync has been introduced to our simulator, and we're not a big fan of this. So let me see if I can explain this. Alright, I'm in the weather editor. I got manually configured weather here, and I got some wind going, and it's basically 0 knots, so there's no wind. What I'm interested in though is the thermals. So I've set those to pretty much default settings. Well, not actually default at all. Alright, 10,000 feet AGL, that doesn't really matter. Coverage I've set to 1% because I'm not interested in the thermals in this demo. I'm interested in the surrounding air around the thermals. So I've set the coverage to 1%. And here we can set our climb rate, the power, the strength of the thermal here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that all the way down to 0. And you think, alright, well that's not going to work, I don't have any thermals. But let me show you. Alright, this is just going to be our control, I guess, for this experiment here. So I got this glider, I'm kind of hands off right now. And it's, it's doing just about 100 knots, 100 kilometers an hour. So what we're interested in here is the actual, the rate of climb right now, which is, as you can see, it's about 1 meter per second down. So, all right, so so that's pretty much dead air. There's no thermals, there's no wind, and we're getting about 1 meter per second down. So I'm going to hop into the back into the weather editor now, and we're going to increase the climb rate of the thermals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank that up to about half, which is around 800 or so, 800 feet per minute, and we'll see how that affects the glider. All right, immediately you see the needle drops. We're now doing close to 1.3 or something meters per second down. So that's definitely affected things. And I'm not in the thermal right now. Let's crank it all the way up here. Here goes the climb rate up to 1500 feet per minute. Apply that, watch the needle. And look, it's dropped to like 1.5 meters per second. It's not a huge amount. Well, it's actually getting a bit more now, look. Again, we're still doing around 100 kilometers an hour. Yeah, okay, so we've got a lot of sync right now. And we can actually visualize this. If they've added this cool visualization tool, so it's up outside of the glider here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control M. I'm going to keep hitting that, Control M. You see it turns on these various interesting things. The one I'm looking for is thermals and microbursts. And here we can actually visualize. See that green over there? That's a thermal. Well, all this other red stuff is sync. So you can see it's about, it's fairly long lines we've got right now. This is indicating a lot of sync. So if I click on over here to really, and then crank the climb rate way down. Let's drop it down to like 300. Now look, these lines are a lot shorter, indicating there's less sync. In fact, if I go all the way down to nothing, well, almost nothing, 50 feet per minute, apply that. You can see, I don't know, maybe you can't see, but hopefully the video is showing this, but there's little tiny little tick marks now, basically showing that there's almost no sync at all. So what's going on is this slider here, climb rate, is directly linked to what I'm calling ambient sync outside the glider. And this is obviously having a rather adverse effect on on the performance of the sailplane. It's basically sinking like a brick here. It's a polar for all these gliders. It's all very exacting, and they're supposed to be able to fly X amount of miles in a given an altitude in dead air, and they're not going to do that now. If you crank up your thermals because you want to go up, you want to do some thermaling, you can't really rely on any of that stuff because there's this sink everywhere, and it is everywhere. If I zoom out here, it doesn't go super far, this visualization, but you can see it's a uniform field all around the glider, except for the greener spots, which are the thermals. But it's just a blanket of sink everywhere, which is less than great. So let me pause this for a second here. So let's talk about thermals a little bit here. So I don't know what Lebanon Research used to model their thermals. I mean, it's very good and all, but it's obviously the sink thing. Something's gone a bit wrong there. I almost get the feeling if you hop on Google right now and do a Google image search for thermals, it shows diagrams like this, where they got the thermals, and everywhere in between is all this sink. And why that's sort of true, it's not really, because these thermals are way too close together, and they wouldn't be like that in real life. There's space between here where there's just dead air, or just air that's doing just other stuff, but it's not all coming down in the unit. This is a better image of this is an old image of a thermal, which actually it's tilted to the side because there's a little bit of wind, and you've got all the strong current going up here, and it spills over at the top, and you have the sink, around the thermal, there's some turbulence and stuff, but it's all this space out here, it's doing other stuff. It's not all sink out here, or so something's gone very wrong with that. Here's the Wikipedia on thermals, and it has this line to say about thermals. Associated with a thermal is a downward flow surrounding the thermal column. The downward moving exterior is caused by colder air displacing at the top of the thermal. So yeah, basically it's around the column of the thermal. It's not everywhere like this diagram seems to indicate. It's more like this. So we want to basically what we want is we want our thermals. That's fine. That's great. But we don't want all this sink everywhere. So I guess the question is, what do we want to do about this? Yeah, I'm thinking, we've actually talked to Austin Myers we've sent in a whole bunch of emails to him, and he has responded, which is very good, and he's now aware of the issue. However, apparently we kind of missed the boat. This is as much our fault as anyone's, as we didn't really jump on this. We've known about this for a little while now, this thing, and I guess we kind of sat on it, and probably should have got on Austin's case earlier. Although there are some reports that we did actually let him know, but he gets a lot of stuff, and I think it takes you really got to hammer it home that this is an issue, and I think he's accepted that now. But he said that we can't do anything about it for 11.40. That's kind of we had the beta and we had our chance, and now it's gone live, and we missed the boat on that one. He's also saying the next update, 11.5, apparently is going to be just about Vulkan and whatnot, so it's not really going to be about tweaking things like this, so we may or may not get anything done there. But he said at some point after that, I don't know how long this is all going to take, he will be able to address this, and he actually seems to be indicating it's somewhat of a simple fix, which is a bit distressing. But all is not lost. What I'm thinking we could do is maybe fix this ourselves. For example, there's a thermal scripts add-on that we've been playing with a little bit that is being made a little obsolete by these new thermals here. But one thing that did was it actually it didn't use X-Plane's thermals to generate lift. What it did was it actually created some other forces on the glider that actually made it go up and down. I don't know exactly how the script worked, but it it had random areas, and they would make the glider go up and down. So obviously it is possible to induce what I'm going to call ambient lift to counter the ambient sink that we have here. So what I think we need to do is come up with a script, a Lua script or something, or Python or whatever language, it doesn't really matter, something that will counter these red lines here, and and make it so it's just sort of, we got dead air to deal with as opposed to all this sink everywhere. So I'm going to kind of put that out there and ask you guys maybe, especially the brains out there that are kind of know about this stuff, and maybe let's come together and see if we can actually patch this ourselves, and make a fix for this until Laminar gets a chance to actually do it properly. But seems to me we could do something. I mean, maybe there's even something in PlaneMaker we could do. Embed like a vertical jet engine in our jets, pointing straight down, and give it just a little bit of uplift or something. Anything. I'm sure we could fix this if we put our minds to it. Some way of doing that, but I know the thermal script add-on did actually create effects on the glider, so maybe that's the way we need to go. But yeah, it's a bit of a bummer right now because I would really like to do some thermaling, and I'm sure you guys would too. I mean, ridge soaring is great. I'm actually right in the Andes Mountains here in Argentina, and it's if I went over there, I'd have lots of fun doing ridge soaring. But I want to also do some thermaling, So yeah. Anyway, I don't want to make this too long. I think you get the point. So yeah, let's talk on the forums, on the X-Plane forum, and maybe at the Facebook group, and see if we can figure this out, and make a patch of some kind or some way that we can get around this problem, because who knows how long it's going to be before it's fixed properly. Anyway, I'm babbling and repeating myself, which I don't need to do. I think you get the idea. Yeah, let's chat and let's talk about this. All right, thanks for watching. Take care.